Remember when Trump bragged on the campaign trail that his followers were going to get tired of all the winning? Well, nobody realized it at the time, but it was the only honest thing Trump said in the entire campaign. Because 3 election cycles later, and entering the 4th election cycle, MAGA Nation is getting tired of all the Democratic winning. Trump's 2016 victory gave rise to a blue wave in the 2018 midterms that brought in large numbers of first-time progressive candidates. That helped Democrats pick up a total of 38 seats in the House of Representatives. So, it was probably more of a blue tsunami than a wave. But 2020 was supposed to right the ship and bring in a red wave. Only it didn't happen. Trump, who knows as much about politics as he does running an airline, backed a number of incredibly weak candidates whose major qualification was that they backed Trump. He even helped turn red state Georgia into blue by backing Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue, not to mention helping Martha McSally and Cory Gardner, 2 other incumbents who lost in Arizona and Colorado. Not to be outdone with helping Democrats win tight races, in the 2022 election, Trump brought in celebrity candidates like Mehmet Oz in Pennsylvania and Herschel Walker in Georgia, both of whom went up in flames and prevented a Republican takeover of the Senate. But Senate races weren't the only elections where Trump endorsed candidates, as he backed the wrong horse in the Arizona Gubernatorial race as well. As Walker and Oz both demonstrate, Trump's favorite candidates have 2 main traits: fealty to Trump and celebrity status. As a result, he backed former local TV anchor Kari Lake. Lake, whose fondness for soft lighting and diffusion filters is a trademark, tried to project a telegenic presence while tapping into every MAGA theme she could get her hands on, none more than election denial. So it was no surprise that when she lost to Katie Hobbs, Carrie Lake turned to complaints of election fraud. So it's good news for all that Lake has finally turned her attention away from election fraud. But it's bad news that she's back on the election trail. Lake is angling for the Republican nomination for the Senate, and if she wins the nomination, it's actually welcome news for Democrats. Because Newsweek is reporting that in the latest poll, Democratic Representative Ruben Gallego from Phoenix holds a double-digit lead against Lake. Gallego is precisely the kind of candidate that Lake cannot stand up against. He is knowledgeable, competent, articulate, and inspiring. He appeals to working-class voters and independents, 2 groups that are key to victory in Arizona, as is the Hispanic vote. And at least one of the reasons Gallego is so successful is that he's a former Marine. Republicans are famous for their tough guy talk, and Carrie Lake is one of them. But Gallego has walked the walk, unlike the plethora of Republican posers like Carrie Lake and Private First Class Donald Bone Spurs. One of the reasons Lake did so well against Katie Hobbs is because Hobbs refused to debate. It was a risky but successful tactical move. Hobbs understood that the practiced and rehearsed Lake would spew out sound bites like she was a word factory, and Hobbs refused to provide the platform for that to happen. Hobbs stuck to being a candidate of substance, and it paid off, denying Lake the oxygen and the opportunity to manufacture more memes and sound bites made Carrie Lake have to work all the harder and shout all the louder. The latest polls show that the act is wearing thin in Arizona, with Lake only polling in 36% versus Gallego, who is polling at 49%. And here is where the specter of Trump is haunting Lake more than she realizes. In a candidate like Gallego, Arizona has a candidate who will fight for them. In Lake, they know they have a candidate who will fight for Trump. And that act is getting really, really old. Lake will obviously pick up more votes coming out of a primary, but it's not likely that she has the horsepower to overcome a powerhouse like Gallego, who can inspire Hispanic voters and talk about immigration reform at the same time. Lake will turn up the amperage and she'll churn out slogans about building a wall and mass deportations and other kinds of fascist proposals. And the more she does, the more she'll be losing independent voters who were intrigued by her in 2022. They're not intrigued anymore. They want real candidates like Gallego and former astronaut turned Senator Mark Kelly, who will really go out and try to make this country better for everyone, not just the wealthy and Donald Trump. Politicians like Ruben Gallego and Mark Kelly, who do the work to actually make this country run, are offering Carrie Lake a geography lesson she should take to heart. Arizona is desert country, not lake country. I'm Anthony Vincent Gallo for Occupy Democrats.